Good afternoon. We're just about to start the travel talk show for today. So I just wanted to welcome everybody that is joining us to learn about Grand Journeys today. Uh, just a little bit of introduction. I am Marianne. I'm the founder of the Women's Travel Club, and I am also in charge of marketing. And today you have only me because it is a holiday here in Canada, and happy Canada Day to any Canadians that are joining us. And so the rest of the staff has the day off, but I am here to chat with you. If you have any questions during the presentation, just raise your hand. I will try and watch, but as I'm by myself and the only one talking, if I get distracted and don't see you, just be patient. Try and raise your hand or just ask a question in the question and answer, and I will get to you. And then at the end, we will actually open up the chat. So if you want to actually come on live and ask a question, you can do that. So again, welcome to this beautiful afternoon. I hope it is lovely where you are. It is really nice here today. And if you are in Canada, happy Canada Day. Let's get started. Today we're going to talk about Grand Journeys. Grand Journeys came about to give our clients a little more choice. So if you are going on a tour and you think, I'd like to spend more time. I'm retired now, I have lots of time. I'd like to spend more time and really experience more without a lot of back and forth travel flights. Grand Journeys are tours that can be joined together to make one big, long, kind of seamless tour without having to come back home and then leave again on a new tour. That being said, there are occasionally you might have to overnight like have an extra night at the end of one tour or an extra night at the beginning of the next tour, just to get everything really lined up depending on flight schedules and such. But we try and look at what flights would be needed to get from one destination to another and use that as our guide to kind of finish one and start the other. So let's kind of get started here. So types of Grand Journeys. So they're not really specifically put into specific types of tours, but what you'll find is there can be kind of themes that will run through some of the Grand Journeys that work together. So adventure is a big one. So you might find a lot of safari tours that kind of run into each other. Or you might find a more cultural classic tour that then works into a more adventurous tour. Then gives you a little bit of everything. So you can, experience some of the culture and history in one location and then move on to another destination, similar area that is full of nature and just kind of new and interesting things for you to see. Definitely there can be experience-based Grand Journeys. We're going to get into that, especially when we get into our Italy Grand Journey. So when we're looking at the Italian in Sorrento, the local living experience, and that goes on to the Tuscan cooking school. So both very experience-based and really get you to, enjoy Italy and the best that Italy has to offer. And then, of course, destinations. So the Grand Journeys are going to very much encompass one kind of area. So in the area might be huge, but we're not going to expect you to go from South America to Africa kind of deal. They're going to be kind of Africa-based, Asia-based, similar destinations anyway. I'm just kind of keeping an eye out on that question and answer, so if there's anything that comes up. When we talk about them, it's all about choice for you. So there could be a grand journey that you only want to do one of the tours. Definitely, you can do one tour, you can do two tours out of it, you can do three or more depending on the grand journey and what is available. So definitely, if you see something you like and you're just unsure about how it would all work, give us a call or send us a message, and we will go through it all with you and talk it through and explain. We'll definitely help with the interior flights. A lot of times when we have tours that go back to back like this, we have a group that's going to go from one tour to the next, including the tour host. So we'll either book flights together. Sometimes we can get a group rate on a flight, or a group because we're going from one place to the other all together. So we definitely look at that, and we definitely kind of watch the flights. Typically, the destinations are fairly close to each other, so the flights are going to be fairly reasonable. So let's have a look at some of the grand journeys that we have coming up for 2021. We have a fair number. So I am going to go through the destinations and the tours in those destinations relatively quickly. Else we'll be here all day. It's a beautiful day. Nobody wants to hear me. As fun as this is, nobody wants to hear me talk all day. So we'll go through them fairly quickly, but again, any questions you have about them, let me know. All of these can be found on the website. So when you go to our website, the easiest way is going to be either to go through just into the tour calendar, which lists all the tours by the dates that they're leaving. They're kind of just in order in the tour calendar, or on the destinations. You can just go by destinations. And of course, there is a Grand Journeys link in the menu, so you can go right to the Grand Journeys page, and right there it will list everything that kind of works together, and you can look at that and kind of peruse that. But again, any questions that come up about any of these tours, we always love to talk about tours. Those are our favorite kind of phone calls. So if you want to give us a call, we can chat with you about kind of what's coming up. So the first grand journey we're going to talk about is going to Malaysia. And there are a few tours that you can kind of work together in different ways. So we're going to go through all the different tours and then look at how they kind of can join together. So let's see. First, we're going to start with the Dubai getaway. So this is a short getaway. It is only those 4 nights, but it's to an amazing destination, one of the most expensive cities in the world. So it's very kind of exciting to go and experience it. It's also just basically a city, so there's not a ton to do there. There's definitely enough to keep us busy for those few days, but you don't want to go spend 2 weeks in Dubai. You'll run out of money and things to do, because it is a little bit expensive, but our tour is actually very well priced. So I don't have the pricing all right here, but I can tell you, just generally knowing the tour is very well priced, very reasonable, stay in a lovely hotel. And we do get out to the desert to experience some of the desert options there. So you get the city and the excitement, and then also out to the desert and get to experience that. A good combination for Dubai, and what a lot of the bookings that we already have are the combination of Dubai with Singapore and Malaysia. So this is a really cool tour. It's going to start in Singapore. Again, you've got that big city, kind of beautiful excitement, and then you go out into Malaysia and you're getting more of the countryside and experiencing that aspect of things, and then you end at a beautiful beach resort in Georgetown. So it really does cover kind of the whole island, and from one extreme to the other you get a little bit of everything. It's a really cool tour. It's fairly well priced, and it was sold out, and then we were able to just get a couple extra spots from the supplier. So I think we have 2 spots available on this tour right now, and that's it. Bali. Bali's always very popular. It's obviously beautiful destination, very beachy, kind of fun destination. we do a couple really cool things. We go on a cycling tour. It's a very relaxed cycling tour, but it really lets you get to experience the area and the locals on a level that you can just driving around in a bus. It is not a stressful cycling tour at all, and a lot of stops to visit and experience things. We also, there is a traditional Balinese healer. So if you've seen Eat, Pray, Love, you know what I'm talking about. And that, for me, I think is a really cool addition into the tour. And then anybody that's watched any of these travel talks know that this tour is my baby for next year. So please, if you even want to talk about it, call me. I'm desperate for people to go on this tour with me. I love animals in nature, and I love seeing primates in the wild. I've done gorilla trekking. Everybody that has watched these knows that about me, and I really want to go to this amazing and beautiful destination, and I want to see the orangutans and proboscis monkeys. So and this works really well onto the Bali tour. So we'll do Bali and then head out to Borneo, and a little bit of kind of both sides of things. Bali being more beachy and laid back, and Borneo being the more jungly, kind of almost Africa-like with lodges and things like that. So those tours work with the Dubai can work to Singapore and Malaysia, or Dubai can work to Bali and then on to Borneo. So you kind of have that combination with Dubai for that. But we can also do, Dubai is a very versatile getaway for us because it also works with our Egypt tour for next year. Egypt, again, being a very popular destination, definitely on, I think, everybody's bucket list at some level. And this is a great tour. You definitely see everything you need to in Egypt. Plus you have that 3-day luxury cruise down the Nile. So if you've thought about doing Egypt, have a look at this tour. It's always popular, but I think it should be. Everybody should see Egypt once. Okay, so we talked about Dubai being kind of a hub for a lot of tours. So any of these tours that you might be looking at, so if you're looking at Egypt, you're looking at Singapore, Malaysia, or you're looking at the Bali Borneo combination, or just Bali, you can start your tour in Dubai. They're all fairly long flights, and so Dubai is a great hub to get into, spend a few days, and then move on to the next destination. Okay, this is actually kind of new for next year. It was planned for this year twice. It was planned in the spring this year, and it got moved to the fall, and now we've just found out that unfortunately, because of COVID, even in the fall, it's not going to be possible to do Australia and New Zealand. So we have moved it again, and we do have space on it. It's going to be in March, which is a great time to kind of go to this area and experience both. We start in New Zealand. They're very inclusive tours for what you see, because they're both, Australia and New Zealand are very large, especially Australia, but we do have interior flights in there, and we are getting to really see both countries quite well. So we start in New Zealand. We do both islands. We do a lot of the major sites that you're going to want to see. We do an overnight cruise, which is really kind of cool. And we have the train ride, the Transalpine train that takes you from Greymouth to Christchurch, and it's really a good kind of encompassing tour. And same with Australia. We start in Melbourne and we go up to Ayers Rock and Alice Springs and over to Cairns and then back down to Sydney. So we're doing a circle of the whole country and really seeing everything from the, you know, the desert and the outback to the Great Barrier Reef to down in the Blue Mountains, and the big cities, all the major attractions that you would like to see in Australia, this tour really hits on them. So we do have interior flights in there because it's a big country, getting from one point to another, and those are all included. Then Mediterranean Grand Journey. For this one, keep a note that Turkey is sold out at this time, but we do have a wait list. And don't be afraid as the tours fill up to join wait lists. We do have our promotion on, which is a great promotion that you can book with no deposit. But because of that promotion, we do expect that we will get some cancellations as we get closer to the date of requiring the deposit. So if you see something and it's waitlist only, don't be afraid to join the waitlist. Right now, everything that's on waitlist only does not have a very large waitlist or any at all. So get your name down there and it goes in order of kind of joining it. So if it's something you're interested in, it's a good possibility we'll have space open up. So the first part of this tour is Greece. It's a very authentic kind of Greece look at Greece. You're going to start in Athens. We go to Santorini. We go to Crete. We go to Mykonos, and really getting out of see the ruins and the big sites in Athens are the archaeological sites, and then move out to the islands and really experience that, crystal blue water and beautiful white buildings and all that Greece has to offer, the amazing food, the sunsets. Oh, Greece. Turkey. Anybody that's watched the Turkey presentation from a few weeks ago has a good idea of what this tour is about. It is going to start in Istanbul and cover a lot of the main sites in Turkey, and then work our way down to Marmaris, which is a beautiful little beach town. And from there, we get on the private yacht. It's just for us, and do some sailing around that kind of turquoise coast of Turkey, which is absolutely stunningly beautiful. And I can tell you our yacht for this sells out every year, and we have ladies coming back onto it that have done it before, and everybody just loves it. It is really, really a spectacular way to see an area, and also nice to kind of end a tour. So do a busier tour and then have a week just relaxing on a yacht and eating and drinking and swimming and enjoying each other's company. France Grand Jury. This was, actually last week we talked a lot about our Burgundy region barge cruise. So that is recorded. If you're kind of interested in this and you didn't see it, you can always go back on our website under the video gallery is a link to all the YouTube videos, or you can search out our YouTube channel under Women's Travel Club, and you'll see the pre-recorded different travel talks. And last week was on this Burgundy region barge cruise. So it's a private luxury barge just for us. It's going through the Burgundy region. The barge cruise is smaller than a regular river cruise, so it's only just us on it. Great food, unlimited wine and beer. This tour does do a lot of wine touring and such, so if that's your thing, it'll really, you should look at it. Food, excellent. Along the way, we go to a Michelin-rated restaurant. The chef on board is a Michelin star chef, so the food is going to be out of this world for this tour. And then, of course, the natural end to that would be a Paris getaway. So just again, just a few nights in Paris, but you're going to see everything you need to see, including a whole day in Versailles and Givenchy. So also keep in mind that any of the getaways, you don't have to add them to another tour. So if you just, in May think, running off to Paris for 4 or 5 days to just on a getaway actually works for me, then yeah, join us. Come just do the getaway. Not a problem at all. This is one of my favorites too, the Italian experience. This is really about what you kind of see and do. So in Sorrento, we start in Sorrento and we're going to stay in I'm not sure I can say it. It's like basically a farmhouse, an Italian farmhouse that is just us, and that is where we are for the whole tour. And then from there we go out and we do little tours. We do cooking class to make pizza. We learn to make limoncello. We go out to Capri. It does do a lot just from the little farmhouse, plus you have that experience of just us in this little farmhouse eating good food and just enjoying the Italian countryside and seaside. From there we go on to a Tuscan cooking school, which is this was another travel talk that we've done. So it's another one that you can go back and look at. It is just an experience. It's a beautiful kind of villa that we stay in Tuscany, and just the things that we do. We go hunt for truffles. We cook every day. We cook lunch and they cook us dinner. So the dinners are all different places. Again, these are like amazing chefs. They're cooking, and the wine pairing is just out of this world. Something like, I forget what the number, I think it was like 36 different wines that we drink during this week, because everything is paired. And that's not just tastings, that's like a glass of wine paired with different stages of your meal. So if you like food and wine and would enjoy some hands-on activity, really look at this. I think this is an outstanding option. Now we're going to the British Isles. So I'm going to start in England and Wales. We start in London and do kind of the city stuff, and then head out to Wales and experience the English countryside. Move from there to Scotland and do the whole tour of Scotland, including Loch Ness. We go to St. Andrews. We don't get to play golf. I'm very sad, but if it was me there, I'd try and find a way. But and to really do the whole Scotland experience. And then from there, we move on to Ireland. This is a great tour of Ireland. It really does encompass everything in Ireland. We do Northern Ireland, which is not included in all tours. So it's really nice to get up to Northern Ireland and kind of see the difference between the Northern Ireland and the Republic. We, of course, do the Giant's Causeway. We're going to kiss the Blarney Stone. We stay in a castle. Just the hotels we stay in are outstanding. The sights we see are beautiful. This tour made me absolutely fall in love with Ireland. So very much recommended. If you're looking at Ireland, really look at this tour. I think it just includes so much more than other tours do. Just when you get into the Northern Ireland and you really get a little bit of everything. Okay, this one's called the Central Europe Grand Journey. It's actually 2 different kind of options, and I wasn't sure what to call it. So I'm not It might be a stretch to call it Central Europe, but it was kind of the best I could come up with. So we start with our Rhine River cruise, which is a new cruise for us. River cruises are very popular. We do a lot of Avalon River cruises. And so the Rhine is a new one coming up. It looks very popular so far. And it's going to take you through Holland, through France, and end in Switzerland. So a really good kind of overview of that area of Europe. We do have a travel talk coming up specifically on this tour that will give more details. And also we do have a travel talk from the last one from the UK tours. We're going to have a travel talk on specifically the 3 UK tours too. So ending in Switzerland is the perfect time to start a tour of Switzerland. So we do have Switzerland on the list for 2021, which doesn't come up very often, and it's really, really kind of cool. Be prepared, Switzerland's very expensive. So the tour is pricey, and that's just because of the price it is in Switzerland. But it's just a beautiful place to see. It has so much to see, and it's an unusual destination. A lot of people say, oh yeah, I went and toured Switzerland. Or the other option is Croatia. So for this, the Rhine would go to either Croatia or Switzerland. You can't do all three because Croatia and Switzerland are at the same time. So this is a really great tour of Croatia. If you're not familiar, but you know Game of Thrones, think of King's Landing, because that's where it was filmed. And so again, the Rhine goes either to Switzerland or to Croatia. Okay, so now we're going to South America. We're coming back across. This tour is going to start with the option of Bolivia. Bolivia, again, is a little bit of an unusual, a little different destination, not someplace that a lot of people would think to go, but very cool. It has the largest salt flat in the world, and it's just beautiful in its own kind of stark, open way. And you get to stay in a salt hotel, which is a hotel actually carved out of salt. It's just an amazing, amazing thing. So the walls are salt, the furniture is salt, everything's just rock hard salt. And they have to rebuild it something every 15 years because eventually the rainwater does wash the salt away, but that's quite an experience. And Bolivia is also known, it's got a real upcoming type of foodie reputation. It's the food there is amazing. In La Paz, you're going to get a lot of really cool, really kind of higher end restaurants, real food scenes starting. Then on to Peru. This is on my list of favorite tours. I love Peru and I love this tour. So this tour is going to take you and do a little bit of everything. So you start in Lima, you go on to the Sacred Valley, of course Machu Picchu. We spend a couple days in Aguas Calientes, which is a really cool little town. It's a little town that is at the foot of Machu Picchu, and stay in one of my favorite hotels in the whole world is there. And it's the Inca Terra Pueblo Hotel, and it's just beautiful. A real bonus of this trip is getting to do 2 nights at that hotel. Then we do take the Titicaca train, which takes us all the way from Cusco to Puno. And in Puno, we visit the floating islands. So these ladies in this picture are actually on an island that's made completely out of reeds. It's just a really cool experience to be walking on this island that you know is just reeds, but they put so many there, it's just solid. Their houses are there and everything. So it's quite an interesting experience. And then from there, we have an Amazon adventure. So we finish that, this is one where we have to overnight. So we'll go back from Puno to Lima, do a night in Lima, and then head out in the morning for Puerto Maldonado, which is the takeoff point for the boat into the Amazon Lodge. So the only way to get into where we stay is by boat. So it's just these little tiny boats. They take us up the river, and we spend 4 nights at this really, really cool Amazon Lodge. It's the walls of the lodge, and this is, I'm going to say this, and everybody's going to be like, yeah, I'm never doing that. But it was so cool because I did it, and I'm bug phobic with the bestia. But they have the rooms that you stay in have only 3 walls. So as you walk up to the rooms, they look like regular rooms. When you go in, the one side is completely open to the jungle. And I was convinced we'd have like monkeys and birds and all kinds of critters in the room, and we had nothing. Nothing ever came in the room. So they probably have their jungle and they're happy and they don't need to come in the room. So nothing ever came in the room. But it was so amazing at night, you could just hear the sounds of the jungle, and it was really, really different and really cool experience. So don't let it scare you. It's not as scary as it sounds. Okay, so here we are to my favorite, the Africa Grand Journey. So because of this year and everything that's gone on, we've had to move some of the tours from this year to next year. And it has made for a great experience in Africa. If you want to spend almost 2 months in Africa visiting pretty much every major place there is to visit, then this could be your year to check out everything that is available. So we start in Tanzania, and we are there for the Great Northern Migration. We do a balloon ride over the Serengeti one morning to see the Great Migration, and it's followed by a champagne breakfast. So if that's not a bucket list type item, I'm not sure what is, because that's just outstanding. But yeah, in Tanzania, beautiful lodges, absolutely stunning scenery, and of course animals, and with the Great Migration, so many animals to see. Then on to Uganda and Rwanda, which we start in Uganda. We do some really cool things, including a ATV safari, which when we've done it before, we've had like, I don't know, I've never been on ATV, I'm not sure about this, and it ends up being the highlight of everybody's tour. It is really, really neat and really cool to be out on ATVs and just kind of get dirty and go through. You don't see any animals, it's more to see the scenery, and we go through a lot of little kind of villages and towns, and you meet the people, and little kids stand out there and wave at you. It's really, really neat experience. We go rhino trekking, so actually walking with rhinos. We go chimpanzee trekking, and the, of course, highlight is going to be gorilla trekking. This is a packed tour with everything amazing that you can do in Uganda or Rwanda is in this tour. And if you could only ever go to Africa once, and that was it, you knew it was going to be once, this is the tour to look at, because you see everything. You see the big 5, you see primates that you don't see anywhere else in Africa. So you can't go anywhere else in Africa but these 2 countries, well, in the Congo, but nobody's going there, to see gorillas and chimpanzees. So if this is kind of what you're like, I can just do one, then do this. It includes everything you'd ever want to do in Africa in one tour. South Africa. This is a great tour if it's your first trip to Africa and you're a little bit like, yeah, I'm not sure if I want to be like I'm a little nervous about Africa because some people are. There's no reason to be. Africa's amazing. But if you're a little bit, unsure and you want kind of Africa without it just being lodges out in the middle of nowhere, then this could be a great tour. It starts in Cape Town, and we actually do wine touring in Cape Town. Cape Town's very almost like European, North American. It's very much, you'll be there and be like, this is Africa. It doesn't seem like Africa. It's very much a city in its own, and the wines there are outstanding. So we go from there. Then we head to do the safari part. So we're going to go to Kruger, and also a private game reserve just outside of Kruger. You'll see every animal. One year we saw all the big five plus so much more all by noon in Kruger. It's really got a good concentration of animals, and you'll see a lot. The private reserve is just such an experience. Private reserves, they're quieter. Kruger, there's a lot of vehicles. So when there's an animal sighting, you might get a bunch of vehicles trying to kind of volley for position to get better pictures and such. Whereas in the private reserve, there's a lot fewer people, there's a lot fewer vehicles, and they have rules that if one or two vehicles are there, that's it. So it's a lot more intimate experience with the animals. Also, they don't have the same rules. Where in Kruger, they have to keep on major roads. In the private game reserve, they can do wherever they want. So you can get a little bit closer if something's kind of far off. They can get you a little bit closer to it to get those pictures and to see and experience the wildlife. The lodges at Kruger and the private game reserve are outstanding. They're some of the best lodges I've stayed in, and this is comparable to like some crazy high-end lodges in Botswana that's known for its lodges. These two lodges are so amazing. And then we go from there, we go to Victoria Falls, and actually we see Victoria Falls and we experience that. So this tour is, again, a little bit of everything that you might want to see. If you want to see Victoria Falls, like you're interested in the wine touring, and you also still want to see the animals, and this could be the great option for you. It's also, I believe, the least expensive option for Africa that we have right now. So it does sell out. I think it only has a couple spots of double occupancy. We have no singles left for it, but it does sell out every year. So, oh, okay. So Jean wants to know, doesn't driving around the animals and primates traumatize the animals? That's actually a really good question, because I am all about conservation and love of animals. So this brings together something great and gives me a chance to kind of explain it. So the animals are habitualized. They are very used to seeing what they're used to see. So we'll separate this into kind of two parts. So say safari animals, so the big five, the lions, the elephants, those kind of animals are very used to seeing vehicles. And this is something that you learn when you go on a safari is when you're on the safari, you never get out of the vehicle because they're not used to seeing people. They see the vehicle as one total entity and they ignore it, and it doesn't really bother them at all. A lot of these animals have been born on these reserves and national parks, and because of that, they're used to it. They're used to these vehicles. It doesn't, I've had a female lioness stalking a prey like literally a foot from the vehicle, and just not like the vehicle wasn't even there. They really aren't traumatized at all by it. And the primates, again, you're on foot with the primates. It's a little different, but these primates are also habitualized to humans. So they're used to this, and they have very strict rules about how long you can be around the primates, about how close you can get, and just, things for protection. You can't go when you're sick, things like that. And what this does, what taking these tourists in and letting them see these animals does, is actually it's the prime way of conserving these animals. Um, Botswana is a great example of that. Botswana completely outlawed any kind of hunting. So you're not allowed to, they've kind of changed their rules a little bit recently due to government changes, which is typical in Africa. But they were a good model for this because they had outlawed completely any hunting. So it didn't matter how much money, you could be Donald Trump, you can't go hunting in Botswana. But what that does is brings in, first of all, the animals are very comfortable. So elephants, which are amazing and never forget anything. When they say an elephant never forgets, it truly, elephants remember things forever. And so elephants knew they were safe there. And that is why Botswana has this huge concentration of elephants. Like literally, you could be sitting on, I've sat on a deck in Botswana and looked over the Chobe River and seen like a herd of like hundreds and hundreds of elephants right there. So the concentration of elephants is just crazy, and it's because they know they're safe there. They're like, we're not going to hurt them, we just want to take pictures. So, you know, as opposed to somebody's going to hunt them, that's a lot better outcome. And so the animals go where they know they're safe. And bringing people in to see them is bringing money in. So money that would otherwise have to come from other means, from maybe hunting, from maybe ruining their habitat for farming or for other things like say in Borneo that we talked about, where they're destroying habitat for palm oil because they need money. This is a better alternative. Bring in people to see the animals, and then the animals are safe and happy, and people are bringing the money in. Very much, the primates is a good example of that too. Gorilla trekking has been one of the ecological success stories, and anybody that's watched our gorilla trekking travel talk has heard me talk about this, how that bringing people in to see, it's not cheap. Gorilla trekking is not cheap. It's almost $1,000 US a day to go gorilla trekking, or it's actually more. So in Rwanda, it's 1,500 US a day to go gorilla trekking. In Uganda, it's I think 750 US a day to go gorilla trekking. So say 1,000, kind of in the middle. And not cheap, and very limited on the number of people that come in. But this brings a great amount of money, and all that money goes back into keeping the national park going and keeping their environment and looking after the gorillas. And so gorilla numbers have greatly increased year after year just because of this. They've also taken anyone that was in Rwanda, if someone gets caught poaching or hunting for a gorilla, they have a choice of going to prison or going to school to learn to be a ranger. And so of course they're going to choose ranger. So then they learn about conservation, they learn about the good, and so then they take all these skills that they've learned over the years hunting gorillas to now protect them and to take people in and to show them the gorillas. And it's just been just amazing, because you know there's not a lot of animals in this world that come back from the brink of extinction to the level that say the gorillas have. So yeah, so going to visit these animals is actually the best thing you can do for them on so many levels. But thanks, Janine, for your question. Okay, so Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a little different. There are animals to see in Ethiopia, but this isn't where you're going to go to see the big five or to really do a lot of safari. Ethiopia is more about the culture and the history and the tribes that are there. So the tour is going to do northern Ethiopia, which is really going to get into the history of one of the oldest places in the world where they think all of civilization started. So it's really interesting from a cultural and historical point of view, and also meeting the tribes of the Omo Valley is just really, really amazing. And Madagascar. Madagascar's got animals that they're endemic animals that you don't see anywhere else. So when you think of lemurs, they're endemic to Madagascar, and that's kind of where they are. And they have incredible baobab trees. You can see baobab trees pretty much all over Africa, but not to the extent and not the types that you see in Madagascar. It's really an up and coming kind of tourist destination. It hasn't had the same level of tourism that a lot of other African countries have had, but it's really kind of up and coming and a new and very interesting place to go see. So all the tours in Africa go one after the other after the other. So if you're interested in joining a couple tours together, you really have to kind of look at what's before and after it to get an idea of what you can join together, unless you're gonna, you know, be somewhere else for a little bit of time and come back to another tour. But most of them are meant to go kind of one after the other after the other. Okay, and now we're gonna head to the rainforesty kind of area of South America and Central America. So I'm gonna start in Costa Rica. This is a great tour that starts from kind of the middle of Costa Rica. You're going to go out to one coast to kind of the Atlantic Caribbean Sea, and then you come back to the middle to the cloud forest, the volcanic area, and then you head back to the other coast on the Pacific side. So it really kind of encompasses everything and does a little circle around Costa Rica. You're going to see a lot of nature, you're going to do some adventure activities, everything that it's known for, and plus the beautiful beaches of Antonio. Galapagos. So the Galapagos adventure is starts in Quito, and then you fly out to the Galapagos, and we are on our own private yacht for the just over a week that we're there, and we go around from island to island in a certain kind of area of Galapagos and see the various birds and wildlife that are there. It is a great experience. One, just being on the private yacht together as a group is always a lot of fun. But the things you see are animals that you're not going to see anywhere else. Also, what's amazing is that they have no natural predators in the Galapagos. So as you walk around, nothing moves. Like nothing cares. You're stepping over iguanas that are 4 feet long. You're walking around a sea lion. It's just they really don't kind of think of you or bother with you at all. No, I don't think you should go up and try and pet anything, but just being there, they have no predators, so they don't see you as a predator, and they don't really care that you're there, which is really kind of a neat way to see animals and to experience it. If you're a bird lover, the birds are outstanding. It's just the types and the different birds there. It's worth going just to see the birds. And then mainland Ecuador, which is a very cool destination and not very kind of popular or big on anybody's list. It's not kind of what you would think, oh, let's go to, Ecuador, if you're not thinking Galapagos. But mainland Ecuador is actually got a lot to offer. It's got, in one tour, very easily, you're looking at cultural and historical areas. You're going to hot springs and experiencing the hot springs and the spa-like kind of area. Then also there's an adventure area, so you can go and you can do zip lining and bungee jumping and all kinds of adventure sports. And it just out to the Amazon jungle for another couple days. So there's so much in one tour that allows you to just experience a lot. It's also very reasonably priced. So you're staying in beautiful hotels, seeing really neat things and different things all throughout the tour and at a really good price, just because of the prices that are in Ecuador, that it's not terribly expensive once you get out of the Galapagos area. So if you're looking for something that's very reasonably priced kind of towards the end of the year, have a look at this tour and read through the itinerary, because it's amazing what can be seen just from one kind of tour throughout an area and everything that is included. So again, the Costa Rica tour, Ecuador and Galapagos. Ecuador is the common tour here. So you can go from Costa Rica to Ecuador at the end, or you could do Galapagos and go to Ecuador at the end. Costa Rica is going to be very similar in kind of the rainforesty, so you're going from rainforest areas in Costa Rica to the Amazon rainforest areas in Ecuador, or Galapagos, of course, they're both Ecuador, so you're just experiencing all of Ecuador in that tour. Okay, so that is basically a run through of what we have for tours that will all work together coming up next year. If you want to see these, again, you can go on the Women's Travel Club site and just look under Grand Journeys, and you will see a list of all these tours. I just wanted to thank everybody for joining me and listening to me kind of ramble on about these tours. If you have any questions, just raise your hand or type it in the question answer. I'll just give it a second to see if we get any questions. If not, no questions. Okay, if anybody thinks of anything, just you know where to find us, and if not, we will talk to you next week. Have a great week. Enjoy the weather if you're having good weather in the summer, and stay safe, and we will see you next week at the same time.